She female 46 left me male 52 days before our wedding. And now she's my secret. Gaslighting friend with benefits. 2.5 months ago we were supposed to marry. But 2 days before our wedding my live-in partner of 3 years left me. Her mental illness caused the split. She views the world through a trauma-distorted lens resulting from her earlier life of tragic, shocking neglect and overwhelming. The issue she left me over was her long-held belief that the younger of my 2 sons 15 years old hated her and wanted her out of my life. It was never the case. My son didn't have any real bond with her. But he certainly didn't hate her and never did or said anything cruel to her. But her inner voices told her otherwise. They told her that I would always side with my son. So she left in a tornado of self-sabotage, cursing me on her way out the door. She checked into a hospital for inpatient mental treatment the next day. She didn't have a phone there at first. But 3 days after checking in she texted me. We agreed to try again once she got out of the hospital. But it would be different. She was no longer living with me, she's currently staying with her mother. I wouldn't have her over on the weeks when my younger son was at my place, he's here every other week. And we wouldn't talk about living together or marriage again until she got past her issues with my child. After only 2 weeks she broke up with me again, because she didn't think she would ever get over her issues with my kid, or she at least thought I would never be satisfied enough with her progress to fully take her back. She had only been in counseling a couple of weeks while I knew it would be months, perhaps years, for her to fully work through this stuff. But it was too much for her and so she left me again. After each of those breakups I cried for a week. Cried and hurt like I never had before. I had near out-of-body experiences a couple of times, actual moments of sorrow for that poor soul howling on my bed before realizing that he was me. But the tears eventually dried. And I made an earnest effort to move forward and embrace my newly single life. I thought I might never hear from her again. But 3 weeks ago, 6 weeks after our last breakup, she texted me to say she had made a mistake. She said she wanted me back and was willing to wait for me. Meaning, she'd wait until my son was old enough to be out on his own. She said we would just be friends until then. We meet in secret. I am too embarrassed to let my parents, friends, or siblings know that the woman who pulverized my heart twice is back in my life again. And I don't want to confuse my kids. I meet her at shops, bars, and hotels. The ex is fantastic. We had a number of issues as a couple, but physical intimacy was never among them. She's the most Zuli compatible partner I've ever had. And our lovemaking is both mutually satisfying and transcendent. This is a problem though. The ex is so good I fear it prevents us from making healthy choices. The pain of the breakups transformed me. I see her with new eyes. What I once saw as earnest expressions of suffering I now see as manipulation. What I used to consider her quirky and naive way of texting I now see as blatant mind games. A recent example: when I checked my phone before getting out of bed Saturday morning, I found 2 texts that she had sent in the middle of the night. The first was a Cupid heart emoji, the heart with an arrow through it. The second was ops. So I responded, "Good morning. But why the oops?" And she answered, "Oh, I was texting with someone else overnight and I accidentally sent it to you." Of course I responded, "Who else are you sending Cupid hearts to?" And she answered it was her daughter, who was an adult and lives elsewhere. She could have told me it was her daughter in her first response. But I am convinced she wanted to see if she could still make me jealous. She could have explained that before I woke up anything other than oops would have been better. Almost any time we interact via text some misunderstanding like this occurs. She always has a defense. But I never fully buy it. Not anymore. I do feel for her. Her mother's apartment is a small 1-bedroom place, so she's sleeping on the couch. And she doesn't even have her own key fob to enter the building. She's going to get her own place at some point. But I don't think she's capable of living on her own. When she lived with me, it was I who ensured she kept appointments, got and took her prescriptions, got her breakfast and shower in time for work, and even had appropriate attire for her job. I often felt as much a parent as a partner. But at the time it seemed worth it. When we're together now, the only time that feels like the old days is when we're making love. The time before is awkward and the time after is melancholy. While my Bluetooth speaker pumps calming music into our room, I lay on my back and stare at the ceiling in the half-dark while she silently cries into my shoulder. She doesn't explain why. She never does, not easily. When we talk now, the only topic is the relationship. How she will wait for me despite how one-sided everything is. How she lost her home while I lost nothing. How I have my kids, my dog, and my co-parenting ex, while she has no one. And that infectious sadness passes to me like a virus. I feel it returning, growing. I don't ever want my heart to hurt again like it did before. I love her, but I can no longer live with her. I worry about her. But her problems are too big for either of us to overcome. All I ever wanted was for her to be happy and safe and comfortable. But she is so sad. She is just so goddamn sad. Too long didn't read. The woman I love left me before we married. And the pain of the breakup changed my perspective on the relationship. She wants things to go back like before. But I am both afraid of having my heart broken again, and also concerned that her mental illness will prevent her from overcoming the fundamental problem that she thinks my son wants her out of my life. We're in a secret friend with benefits thing now. But whenever we text, it feels like she's manipulating and gaslighting me. I should probably end things for good. But the mutually satisfying ex we have when we meet is probably making this a harder decision than it should be. Yeah, man. Sounds great and healthy and easy, and like you definitely won't find yourself completely dissociated from your body racked with sobs. While everyone in your life shakes their heads and mutters to each other how such a sharp guy can make the same dumb choice again and again. Life doesn't have to be exhausting. Life doesn't have to be exhausting. I will admit. The past 4 years have been so exhausting that it kind of feels normal now. For a few weeks I was able to tell myself her personal well-being was out of my hands. Out of sight. Out of mind. But now that concern is creeping back. If I break up with her now, will she hurt herself? Who will take care of her once she moves out on her own? Logically, I know she's not my responsibility. But my heart. My friend, don't be such a dope. Your kids and friends and family all want you to be happy too. You think they haven't noticed you second-guessing yourself? Or walking around in pain and worry? Or masking your hurt? How would you feel if your son was in a relationship like you have? If your dad was? Block her. Imagine having mutually satisfying ex with someone who treats you with respect and love. This current situation is extremely unhealthy. The ex was kind of the foot in the door to my heart. After the breakup, I was able to convince myself that her problems were not my problems. And her fate wasn't on me. But now that I am seeing her again, I am feeling those same fears I had before, that she might not take care of herself or might end up in an overwhelming relationship. She had several before we met. I was moving past all of it until I wasn't. Those aren't things you have control over. Those are things she has to figure out. You staying with her hurts you and doesn't give her the chance to learn how to take care of herself or to get herself actual help. And she may not. That is a choice she will make. Your being with her won't help that. Basically. Don't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. You need therapy. She needs therapy. Neither of you need each other. Even if you were both to get completely healthy mentally, you need to stay away as to not fall back into unhealthy patterns. Second story. I 19 male feel like I am being emotionally gaslighted by an ex-friend with benefits 30 female while wanting the freedom to pursue a relationship with someone else. Oh God. Here goes nothing. I am a 19-year-old guy, living in one of the more conservative parts of Texas. I grew up homeschooled and mostly amongst very conservative Christian folks. Ex-education, while not non-existent, certainly wasn't anything approaching liberal, more like it's a thing that you can feel okay about doing once you're married. I'm a fairly shy person and didn't have anything close to a relationship until I was 18. It was beautiful while it lasted, but after a month she broke it off. Took me about a year to get over her. Decided to give the whole casual ex thing a try with someone else. That didn't work out, and the stress associated with it led to my becoming bulimic and briefly coping with alcohol. Still struggle with the eating disorder, but I don't drink anymore. Then, late last year, I met a woman 10 years older than me through mutual friends. Let's call her Maddie. We got along very well and became fast friends. One night in January I texted her because I was lonely, and she told me to come over and offered to make me tea. Once I arrived, she asked me to get in bed with her. By that point I'd figured out where things were going. Long story short, we made out for about an hour. I ate her out and she gave me head. Afterwards we talked and decided we'd have sex regularly because we both needed some stress relief. She's a single mom working very hard to support her 5-year-old. I am unemployed, sort of depressed, and overthink everything to the point of having fairly regular panic attacks. She was in an open relationship with another woman who was also 19, but she said it wouldn't be an issue. I think we both thought it wasn't going to lead to a relationship at the beginning. But after a couple months of pretty crazy sex I lost my virginity to her. Which pisses me off to no end in retrospect, but I realize it was a decision I made. She told me she'd fallen in love with me. By this point I was starting to have misgivings about the whole situation, and tried to tell her I just wanted to be friends. She wouldn't accept that. Said she was in love with me and never wanted to have sex with anyone else, and then texted me a few days later to tell me she'd broken up with her girlfriend. I didn't have anyone to talk to at the time and ended up very nearly attempting suicide a second time. It seemed, and frankly is starting to seem again, like the only way out of this situation. I ended up meeting with her and taking a knife out of my backpack and placing it to my wrist while explaining that I felt trapped and that I didn't see a way out of the situation that kept everyone happy, and that it was either her or me. She started to cry and apologize. Said she didn't know what she was doing with me, and I left. For about a month she seemed to have pulled back. We kept hanging out as friends. Honestly, I think I kept her around because I was looking at her as a mother. She made me food and took care of me and held me while I cried. I never really had that because both of my parents are pretty emotionally distant. They don't know about any of this. While all this was going on, simultaneously I was realizing that I don't want to be someone's friend with benefits. I want a real long-term relationship with someone closer to my own age, not Maddie. About a year prior to this whole situation I met a girl, Kelly, 23, on a Facebook group dedicated to one of our mutual interests. We became internet friends and pen pals, and started corresponding regularly. She drove to my town about 4 hours away from where she lives to spend New Year's Eve with me. And a couple weeks after that drove up again. We fell into a pattern of seeing each other once every month or two. And after a while it became clear that we were interested in each other. Kelly has had a history of overwhelming relationships, 2 exes who were physically overwhelming to her, which makes her hesitant to jump into anything else. And makes me hesitant to do anything with her that I'm not sure I can be in for the long run. But she is genuinely one of the nicest people I've met. She doesn't smile easily, but when she does, the light that comes over her face is just beautiful. We both love a lot of the same things, and I love being around her. I don't know her that well, but I'd like to get to know her better. It looks like that's going to be easier, as she's moving to my city in order to attend the state college here in a few short months. She knows about the whole situation with Maddie, and says it sounds overwhelming based on her understanding of what that means. I saw Maddie yesterday. Spent a couple hours with her. I think the reason I still spend time with her is I'm subconsciously trying to shift her into being a mother figure. I crave affection and validation in whatever form I can get it. And she gives it to me. But she won't let go of trying to force me into a relationship with her. At least that's what it feels like to me. I'm not even sure of my own sanity anymore. I've never understood other people that well. I feel like the right thing to do is to tell Maddie in plain terms that her actions are negatively impacting my mental health, and that she needs to let go of me. Then stop thinking so much and see if a relationship naturally develops with Kelly. But I don't know if that's the case, or if I even have the strength to let go of the only person who's ever shown me any kind of sustained physical affection, or dare I say, love. Too long didn't read. Ex-friend with benefits won't stop trying to get me into a relationship I don't want to be in. I think I might be in love with another someone closer to my age. But I don't know what to do with the possibly sociopathic ex, and it's making me want to die. Stop responding. Block her on everything. Don't give in. Third story. I, 21 male, am not sure what to do about 19 female friend. So around 3 months ago, I moved to the United Kingdom to further my studies. So naturally I tried joining many clubs, so I can make some new friends on campus. A couple of weeks in I joined the debating club on Discord and I start engaging in convos with people, and I seem to hit it off with this girl. We started to talk in the DMs and then I start to think she is interested in me. A week or so pass. And she is blatantly flirting with me. I obviously continue with it. Now she mentions to me that she is engaged. And obviously I am taken aback. We talk about it and basically came to a conclusion that she doesn't really care about the guy. I assume so, because why would she be doing this in the first place? Now in the course of 2 months of speaking every day, she starts to blatantly show feelings for me, and she herself says how she wants to engage in a friends with benefits type of thing with me until her fiancé gets back. I didn't really think much about it because I knew I would never get with her if she treats her fiancé like this. Anyways, 2 nights ago she was saying all sorts of stuff like I don't want you. But I like the attention you are giving me. Obviously, I didn't ducking like that and got really mad at her and started telling her what is the point of this friendship if all you want is to toy with me. And she tries to justify it with her really dumb metaphors and excuses. I basically tell her to find someone else with who she can gaslight and toy with. Ended it on that note. Left her on scene for those 2 days, to which just an hour ago sent me this message. Hi. I am sorry about Wednesday. I came across as selfish. As someone just messing about. I genuinely like you, and communicating that message with my circumstance is hard. I don't know what I want. From the cold shit you are giving me, I think it's pretty clear I should leave you alone. It was real nice getting to know you. I feel embarrassed for every time I showed you my raw emotions. I wish I made a better impression. All the best. Not sure what to do in this case and what to reply. Not sure if she is manipulating me or not. Too long, didn't read. Engaged 19-year-old messaging me for 2 months and blatantly flirting with me, admitting she wants a friend with benefits kind of thing, but tired of gaslighting, so not sure what to do. I wouldn't reply. You know your worth. Her past statements and actions say more about her intentions than this one text she's only sending because she didn't get her way. Problem is, I don't really want to end it on a bad note. And after 2 months of talking every day kinda made me attached to her. I guess it must be done. And it will be a bit harder for me. Here's the thing. You're not to blame for how it ended. She told you that she was yanking your chain and you were like, duck that. Your reaction was 100% justified. I suggest not responding to her last message. Just treat her like any other club member and move on. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.